Mr. PJ Nath is Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Nelco. Is joining us to tell us broadly the contours of what this agreement really looks like. Mr. Nath, good to have you with us here. Thank you very much. What can you tell us a little bit more in terms of what I've already sort of mentioned with regards to this tie-up with Intelsat? What is the opportunity for Nelco here?
Okay, good morning. I think you've fairly covered it quite well in terms of the overall contours of the agreement. Let me just give a perspective. Intelsat is a global satellite operator, and they are also a service provider offering connectivity on aircrafts. Nelco is a satellite communication service provider focusing on enterprise market, the aero market, aero connectivity services, as well as maritime communication. And we use different satellites, and we are technology agnostic company. 2018 end, the government of India announced the new IFMC license, which allows the aircrafts over India, as well as maritime vessels in the Indian waters, to use satellite connectivity. And with that, the new license was created for IFMC. So we were one of the first companies to have taken the IFMC license, and we made our services operational in 2019. Since beginning of 2020, we have been offering connectivity on aircrafts over Indian skies as well. In this new agreement with Intelsat, what happens is that any of the aircrafts or the airline partners of Intelsat's commercial aviation, whenever they're flying over India, would be using the services of Nelco, which means that when the aircrafts are over Indian skies, the connectivity is offered through the services of Nelco. So that is what the agreement is, and we believe that this is an important step for both Intelsat as well as Nelco in the journey of offering reliable communication on aircraft.
Mr. Nath, can you give us some numbers on what this would mean for your business? You said that any aircraft partner of Intelsat will be using Nelco services when they're over Indian skies. How many aircraft partners do they have at the moment, and what would be the revenue contribution from this tie-up?
I would not like to go specific to that. There are certain things we would not like to disclose beyond a point, but suffice to say that the aero connectivity as well as maritime communication is a growing market, a very fast-growing market for the satellite communication industry overall, globally. And the same thing will happen in India as well. So right now we are doing for the international aircraft which are flying over India. And the opportunity that we see is that as we go along, the domestic routes will also start. And that is where the bigger market will happen.
No, so Intelsat's partners are all sort of on international routes?
Yeah, so currently they have got the global airlines, and therefore the global airlines are flying all over the world. And wherever they pass over India, they will be using our service.
Okay. Could you, you said you launched this service in 2018.
So 2019 is when we got our license.
Okay.
And the connectivity we started in 2020 beginning.
2020 beginning. I mean, of course, and then there was COVID, etc. But even without Intelsat, I mean, where are your services used? Which? Yeah.
We have another partnership which we had announced in 2020 beginning in February. We are working with Panasonic Avionics, like Intelsat Commercial Aviation. Panasonic Avionics also is a aero IFC service provider, and all the aircrafts of their partner airlines are already using our service for the last 2 years.
How are
Panasonic?
Panasonic Avionics. Yeah. Mr. Nath, how do you earn revenues? I mean, without going into numbers or anything. I mean, so when you tie up, is it per passenger? I mean, in terms of usage, I mean, how does this work?
See, as far as the airlines are concerned, each of the airlines have their own models in terms of how they want to price the services. Some of them will give it free, some of them will give it to the premium customers, some of them will sell per hour basis, etc., etc. Right? But because with the international aircrafts, so we don't contract directly with the international aircraft. We are contracting with Panasonic Avionics and Intelsat Commercial Aviation.
So apart from Panasonic Avionics and Intelsat, any other clients that you have on the anvil, anyone that you are in talks with currently?
As a company, we work with global partners, be it in terms of technology, be it in terms of the satellite capacity we procure, or for maritime communication services as well as aero communication services. So continuously, we are exploring multiple opportunities which are working for both the sides. So therefore, needless to say that we are obviously working on many partnerships at the moment. Having said that, I can't be disclosing anything right now. And as and when we come to some conclusion, finally we obviously announce.
Mr. Nath, my point about that, how do you make money, was about what is your agreement with Intelsat or Panasonic Avionics? I mean, how does that look like? That is what I mean. What airlines do in terms of that is of course, but you earn, right, for the services you provided. But how do you earn?
So we earn by offering the services. We sell the services to them. The services over India, or whenever the flights are over India, there's a certain services required, right, to give the entire communication services, entire communication on the aircraft. So we price for that service.
But it's like a flat annual fee. Is it is it based on usage? I'm just trying to understand that. Yes.
It's a combination of both. There are certain amounts which are fixed for a contract. At the same time, as the traffic increases, the overall revenue also goes up.
How is it? What is the size in other markets where this is? I mean, just to get a sense, and what could we be looking at where this is already? It's like a mature market.
See, for India, it is not a mature market because we started the service already.
Yes, not for India, but other markets where we can kind of look at and say, well, that's where we are headed. What's the growth opportunity?
Well, see, growth opportunity will be in India. Bigger growth will happen when the domestic airlines will come. And that, I think we are about 2 years away from that at the moment.
Why is that, sir?
Because each of the aircrafts, to get them to connect on a satellite communication, we require to equip the aircrafts with respect to many of the electronics in terms of the RF, in terms of the modems, etc. And that's a time-consuming process. The provision itself takes a lot of time. Plus, the airlines, many of the airlines are already talking, but then they'll have to ultimately come up with the right business model. There are challenges in terms of the domestic route because some of the sectors are very small, some of the sectors are large, etc., etc. So therefore, overall, we believe that it will take about 1.5 to 2 years before the domestic market will start offering connectivity on the air.
Okay. Can you tell us, I mean, you're refusing to share any commercials of this Intelsat agreement, but overall for the business, what kind of growth do you see? You're sitting on about 80 crores of quarterly revenue run rate, at least as of Q1, which is a very healthy growth that you've seen. What would the average be for the full year? And by the end of FY23 and 24, what kind of growth rates are you looking at?
Well, we don't give guidance in terms of exact numbers that we'll be doing. But I had already discussed at the end of the first quarter, during I think in the offshore itself, that we are going well, and we expect to have, we would not be having exactly the same rate of growth of the first quarter as compared to the previous year, because there are certain on-time project revenue, but overall we are growing well. And if we see our past trends, I think that could indicate where we are going right now.